I always like to make a short announcement about what you're going to see. And Skip and I have worked on these two specifically for today's program. The first one is a Pledge of Allegiance, a little bit different than what we're used to hearing. Evangelo Morris delivers Old Glory in front of an energized crowd at the Reagan Roundup in Wilmington, North Carolina. And the God Bless the USA featuring Lee Greenwood and the Home Free and Singing Sergeants.
The Old Glory flag ceremony is a time-honored tradition that symbolizes the service members' rise through the ranks, but most importantly, it represents their love for a nation that they so proudly served. Now, if I could get you all to use your imagination just for a moment. Imagine our flag having a personality. What exactly would that be like? Considering all of the history of these United States. Now, imagine our flag having a voice. What exactly would it say to its service members? What would it say to its veterans? What would it say to its retirees, its reservists, its first responders? What would it say to you? Well, on behalf of all of our service members, I would like for you to know that I believe that if our flag could speak, these are the words that it would say. Ladies and gentlemen, I now present Old Glory. I am the flag of the United States of America. My name is Old Glory. I fly atop the world's tallest buildings, and I stand watch in America's halls of justice. I fly majestically across the great institutions of learning, and I stand guard with the greatest military power in the world. Look up and see me. I stand for peace, truth, honor, and justice. I stand for freedom. I am confident, I am brave, I am proud, and I am ready. When I am flown with my fellow banners, my head is held a little higher, my arms a little truer. Except for my God, I bow to no one. I am recognized all over the world. I am sovereign. I am saluted. I am respected. I am honored. I am loved. And yet I am feared. I have fought in every battle of every war for more than 200 years. Some of these battles include Gettysburg, Shiloh, Appomattox, San Juan Hill, the trenches of France, the Aragon Forest, Anzio, Rome, the beaches of Normandy, Guam, Okinawa, Korea, Quezon, Saigon, Viet Nam, Afghanistan, Iraq, Kuwait, Syria, and scores of other places long forgotten by all, except those that were there with me. I know because I was there. I led my special operations forces in the quiet of the night, and at the tip of the spear, I saw them fight fearlessly throughout the globe every day of the year. I watched over them even during the casualties of Desert One, and they still loved me. I was on a small hill, Iwo Jima. I was dirty, battle-worn, tired, but my soldiers and my sailors, my airmen, my Coast Guardsmen, my Marines, they all cheered me, and I was so very proud. I was at Ground Zero in New York City on September the 11th as cowardly fanatics attacked America. I was raised from the ashes of once proud buildings by brave firefighters. These were heroes who risked their lives to save others, showing all that America, although bloodied, will never be beaten, because those who would destroy me cannot win. For I am the symbol of freedom, of one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have been soiled, I've been burned, I've been torn, and I have been trampled on in the streets of my own country. And when it is done by those whom I have served with in battle, it hurts. But hear me today when I say, I will overcome because I am strong. I have slipped the surely bounds of earth, and from my vantage point on the moon, I stand watch over the uncharted new frontiers of space. And And I have been that silent witness to all of America's finest hours. But my finest hour comes when my stripes are torn into strips to be used as bandages to cover the wounds of my fellow comrades on the field of battle. And also when I fly at half-mast to honor my soldiers and my sailors, my airmen, my Coast Guardsmen, my Marines. But most importantly, when I'm placed into the trembling arms of a grieving mother at the gravesite of her fallen son or her fallen daughter, I am so very proud. My name is Old Glory. Long may I wave, dear God, long may I wave.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife.
I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, where the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota
to the hills of Tennessee,
across the plains of Texas, oh, from sea to shining sea.
from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, oh, and I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. God bless this country. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless. May God please bless the USA.
That was quite a presentation. I know it was a little long on both, but I hope everybody enjoyed what they experienced. Okay, you're in the life of a combat Marine. Good afternoon. What you're about to experience will be certainly a shortened example of the Vietnam War from the perspective of one United States Marine. my time in Vietnam is unique in that each person's experiences in the war were different. Even Marines within the same unit had different experiences. Some may have never or rarely left their rear areas. Some may have traveled far and wide over vast expanses in helicopters or truck convoys or even riverboats, and then returned to their units for their night assignments. And then others were rarely in the rear areas and basically spent their entire or most of their time in other positions in fire bases or villages through most of their time in Vietnam. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, I was in the latter. These photographs are, very old, but they still held up over the years. But when I first arrived in Vietnam in July of 1967, I was assigned to the 2nd Battalion, 9th Marine Regiment, 3rd Marine Division, which was in what was called the I Corps, the northern part of South Vietnam. Even though I was trained as a machine gunner, as you can see on this map, and it might be difficult, but our rear area was Dong Ha, which is middle toward the right side of that map. And during my tour in Vietnam, I traveled far and wide with my various units. We were up as far north as Con Thien, which was right next to the DMZ. We were to the west of Dong Ha at a village called Cam Lo, and to the west of that in Camp Carroll, and to unknown places that I never knew names. But the map shows some areas which I'll be mentioning. As you can see, at the time I arrived, and throughout my time in Vietnam in 1967 and 68, it was the largest buildup of troops. It should also be noted that 11,363 Americans died during 1967, and 16,899 died during 1968. During the entire war, 58,479 died, 304,000 were wounded, 1,587 were missing in action, and 766 were prisoners of war. And I didn't know this stat until I actually looked it up, but 997 people died on their first day in Vietnam, and 1,448 died on their last day in Vietnam. I was a member of the 2nd Squad, 2nd Platoon, started out as a member of a rifle team, worked my way up to a team leader, and then eventually as a squad leader. On average, the Marines carried between 85 and 110 pounds of equipment, depending on their activity and the operation they were involved in. The temperatures in Vietnam ranged from the 90s up into the hundreds during the day in the summer, and dropping into the 70s at night. Now, you wouldn't think the 70s would be very chilly, but after you were experiencing 90s and 100-degree temperatures during the day, at night, 70 felt very cold. During the winter monsoon season, which generally ran from September to November, the temperatures ranged from the 70s during the day and dropped into the 60s at night. Monsoon rains could drop up to 5 feet of rain during a season. The country turned into a virtual mud hole, with the humidity ranging from the 80s to the 90s most of the time. Since I was a grunt, we participated in a number of different operations, including nighttime operations and mostly daytime operations. You can see the trucks in the back where my unit is getting ready to load up to go off into an operation. Of course, the kids. The kids were always around us when they had the opportunity. They were very friendly. They were quite entrepreneurs, selling cigarettes and sodas and, pretty much whatever else you wanted to buy. Of course, we were also very cognizant of the fact that These kids during the day who were selling us sodas and cigarettes could turn into our enemy at night trying to kill us. But most of the time, we were engaged in short and long-term operations and patrols to search out the enemy. The Vietnam War also had a change in the strategy of fighting of previous wars. It was no longer based on land or areas taken, but on body count. You could fight for days to take a hill or an area or a village only to abandon it a few days later back to the enemy. Body count was the determination factor of who won a battle or who was overall winning the war. What I'm going to do now is walk you through numerous situations. As I walk you through these, I'd like each of you to put yourself back in 1967 and 1968. As I describe these situations, you can either look at the map, but what I would recommend is that you just close your eyes and listen to my voice. Let your imagination take you back. Feel the heat and humidity. Feel the weight on your back. And yes, feel the anticipation and fear that grips you. So at this time, I'd welcome you to close your eyes and let me take you back to Vietnam. You're new in Vietnam. You're on a platoon-sized patrol where you are the point man, walking down a trail. In hindsight, a too well worn out trail. As you're walking, a Marine behind you yells, "Freeze! Don't move!" And you freeze. You don't move. The next thing he says scares you to death. He says, "Look down." You look down and you see a trip wire over your boot. The entire platoon starts moving back away from you, expecting the explosion. But no explosion happens. You think to yourself, should I run? Should I stay? But you're a Marine, so you follow orders and you stay. After a few minutes, you see a team of Marines making their way over to a wooded area, about 100 feet from your location. After a while, they return to the platoon. 2 Marines come up to you and start digging on each side of your boot where the tripwire is. They slowly, methodically, and carefully dig. About 6 inches below from where you are standing, they find a mortar round that is wired to the tripwire. You find out later that the ignition device was in the wooded area, but no enemy was there to detonate it and kill you. You lived. A short time later, you're part of a company operation near the rock pile. At the completion of the operation, trucks are sent to transport your unit back to Dong Ha. As you are boarding the truck, you hear this sound. By now, you know that's the sound of mortars. Everyone jumps off the trucks and runs as fast as possible away from where the trucks are. Within seconds, mortar rounds start falling around and near the trucks. One round falls right next to the truck you were in and demolishes it. You lived. You're on a platoon operation searching for the enemy. As your unit makes its way through a wooded area, you come upon a field. The field is about 100 yards wide, and there's another wooded area on the other side. The order is giving out to run low and fast to the other wooded area, but to be aware that there are enemy troops in the area and possibly snipers. You take off as fast as you can and run, and you're low and fast, and then it happens. Your boot is caught on what best is described as a rabbit trap, a noose. You can't move. By now, you know these traps have one of 2 purposes. One is they're attached to an explosive device, but there was no explosion. The other is to hold a Marine until a sniper can kill him. You struggle for what seems like an eternity but you finally free yourself and you run faster than ever to the other wooded area. You live. You always carry a small pocket-sized Bible in your left breast pocket, and when available, you read passages from the Bible to yourself. One day, your unit comes under attack with numerous rockets and mortars being fired at your unit. During the engagement, several members of your squad are wounded by shrapnel and have to be medevaced. When you return to the rear area, you take out your Bible to read, and to your shock and amazement, you discover that a piece of shrapnel had embedded itself halfway into your Bible. Had you not had that Bible in your left breast pocket, you surely would have been seriously wounded or even killed. You lived. You are on a company-sized operation. You are a squad leader, and your squad is assigned as a perimeter security to the company. Your squad is far off to the right side of the company as it progresses forward. You lose visual contact with the company as dusk sets in. You are radioed that the company is settling in for the night and to return, but you cannot locate your company. Your squad of about 10 Marines just keep walking in the dark, hoping to locate the company. Suddenly, you hear noise of clanking metal and voices. Thinking you've located your unit, your squad moves toward the noise. Suddenly, you realize the voices you are hearing are not speaking in English. They're speaking Vietnamese. You've come upon an enemy force, but you don't know its size. And fortunately, they don't know you're there yet. You whisper to your squad to quietly back off. You do, and eventually you do find your company. You lived. During your tour in Vietnam, each Marine is allocated an out-of-country rest and relaxation, or R&R, and also an in-country R&R in a safe rear area. During the time you are in-country, your in-country R&R was scheduled. You're a squad leader at the time, but your squad is part of a platoon-sized unit that is guarding a bridge along Route 9 leading to Quai Son. Well, you go on R&R. It's a 2-day R&R, and when you return, you learn that your squad was ambushed while they were doing a road patrol along Route 9. Of the 10 Marines that were in your squad, all but 2 were medevaced. Had you not been on R&R, you most likely would have been one of the wounded. You lived. Your company is assigned to protect the village of Cam Lo. Your platoon was ordered to go to the top of a hill that overlooked Cam Lo. At the top of the hill was an abandoned outpost formerly occupied by the South Vietnamese Army ARVN troops. Your squad is the lead unit approaching the entrance to the outpost. You see movement from inside the compound and you yell to take cover, and immediately a firefight begins. You stand up to get a better aim at the enemy, and then you feel it and you hear it. The round goes right by your left ear. You immediately get down and continue the firefight. Air support is called in, and as the aircraft come in from behind you, you are fully aware of the term friendly fire. As the rounds from the aircraft start to pound on the ground in front of you, you pray the pilot has good aim. He does. The airstrike does its trick. The firefight ends, and when you enter the compound, there are no wounded enemy to be found. Apparently, the enemy had carried their wounded out of the compound from another way. You lived. Your company is assigned to protect the fire base, Camp Carroll. One night, while not on perimeter security duty, you need to use the bathroom. It's very dark, but you head in the direction that the latrine is located. Suddenly realize you actually walk out in front of your lines and bunkers. You have 2 choices. Stay there where you are, lie down, and hope no Marine sees you before daylight. The other is to walk back to your lines and pray no Marine sees you and thinks you're the enemy. You choose to walk back. You get back into your lines without incident. You lived. In April of 1968, while at Camp Carroll, a team of Marines were ambushed on a hill near Camp Carroll. One Marine was killed during that engagement, but could not be removed. Your company is assigned to find and retrieve the body of the dead Marine. When you arrive on the hill, your unit comes under intense fire. Your company's executive officer, a first lieutenant, motions your squad up to a tree line and advises you that the body of the Marine is supposed to be on the other side of the tree line. You're the squad leader, so you assign a Marine as point man, and you go in second, followed by your radioman and the rest of the squad, including first lieutenant. Progresses through the tree line, an explosion has been wounded or killed. As you make your way back to the wounded, you see the lieutenant leaning against a tree stump. Both his legs have been blown off at the knees, but he's still alive and conscious. You take his belt off and put a tourniquet around one of his legs. You take your belt off, and as you are putting a tourniquet around his other leg, a second explosion occurs and hits you. A corpsman sees what happens and puts a field dressing on your wound. You're still mobile, so you and another Marine pick up the lieutenant, flop his lower legs over top of his body, and carry him down to the medevac area. You are medevac to a field hospital where you are treated and returned to your unit. Of the 10 men plus the lieutenant that went into that wooded area, all were wounded and 2 died. You lived, and as a result, you were awarded the Purple Heart and Bronze Star. As I finish this presentation, I want to give you an experience that shocked me when I was in Vietnam. And it's nothing I expected, but in addition to the incident with the Bible, it showed me that there was God in that country. I was a squad leader, and my squad was on a squad-size patrol. The point man was going up to the crest of a hill, and he stopped, got down, and motioned me up to the top of the hill. I fully expected to see enemy soldiers or Viet Cong when I got over the top of the ridge. What I saw was unbelievable. It was a 12-point buck, the most magnificent and beautiful animal I ever saw. I mean, in that war-torn country, how that survived, I'll never know. I know a couple of my guys suggested killing it and taking it back to our rear area for venison. I said, no, this magnificent animal survived through all this. We're not going to be the one that is its demise. Every one of those experiences that I've just had you have, and I don't know if you could experience it in the comfort of your home, even with your eyes closed, but every one of those things happened to me. I mentioned that during my entire 13 months in Vietnam, I was engaged to Mary, and she wrote me a letter every day. And we just celebrated our 51st anniversary.